Well, you actually talked about Elon Musk. You said he is the chief at dispensing misinformation.
Sure.
You said when you're really, really rich, what do you buy? Media. And why do you buy it? Because you want to control the narrative. You want to be so rich that you tell people what to think. Instead of X's, it should be 3 Ks.
I agree with whoever said that is a fucking cipher. and nothing that I've seen disproves it.
Well, I was really worried from the beginning about basically becoming this sort of decider of what is true in the world, right? That's like kind of a crazy position to be in for billions of people using your service. And
so decider of what truth is. No, that's not what we're asking you to do. So when it comes to social media, and that's within my lifetime. So we haven't always had social media, despite what a lot of younger people might think. It definitely brings a different perspective on the amount of information that we're receiving and the amount of people that we're constantly talking to on a daily basis. I kid you not, since I had my YouTube channel, I probably received over 100,000 comments, and majority could, probably disagreeing with me, or a very few of them are like really explicit, just idiots. But I don't think, the common man, the common person is not built to just handle this amount of information and communicating with hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis. So, this is something that we're constantly trying to evolve with and try to understand. But one common thing that we all need to understand while, going through this journey together is it is up to us. It is our responsibility to stay properly informed with reliable sources, critical thinking, and discernment. That is not Elon Musk's job. That is not Mark Zuckerberg. That is not our politicians. That is not your mom and dad. It is your responsibility, not mine. So when I get these weird comments like, well, can you prove to me? Hey, I'm using the same Google searches. I'm reading the same articles that you got access to. So, just do a little searching, and to quote, some individuals that I look up to, I highly suggest you guys, if you don't know who these individuals are, do some reading, you know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have social media to get this type of insight that is amazing, powerful quotes for today. So Malcolm X, once again, he said the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They had the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. That is power, because they control the minds of the masses. Angela Davis said the work of the media in advancing the structures of racism and white supremacy has always been significant. James Baldwin, one of my favorite individuals, he said the power of the white world is threatened whenever a black man refuses to accept the white world's definition. We need to be exercising critical thinking. And when it comes to, for example, which we're going to get into with DL Hughley talking about Elon Musk and his moves of buying Twitter and then implanting himself within our government system, that is problematic. But we have a responsibility still. So let's go ahead and take a listen to what Mr. D.L. Hughley has to say.
Well, Trump announced his cabinet picks. I actually interviewed 2 of them, which is interesting. So in the Department of Government Efficiency, which I think is a made-up department, right?
It is.
That's never existed before.
It is.
Is Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy,
right,
who I interviewed.
Right.
A couple times, actually.
Right. Do you know my problem with those picks?
Why is that?
I think that when men lack empathy, that works great for the public space. It doesn't work great for the public space. Private space, men lacking empathy. Look what titans of industry did when they lacked empathy, when they were giving latitude over the government. Look at eugenics and the Heinzes and the Hersheys. I think that Elon Musk is a vacant, wealthy human being, uber wealthy human being.
Damn.
And I think you could tell by the way he treats the people that he's been in contact with that he lacks empathy. I think that that is going to be a dangerous position for this nation to be in, and we'll see whether that is the case or not. But there are people who there is a decided lack of empathy that he has exhibited in all of his endeavors that they are touting that he'll bring here, and we'll see if the nation wants that when it gets it.
And that's one obvious situation when it comes to Elon Musk. And once again, now a lot of these Republicans are now like turning against Elon Musk and what he represents and just this whole BS. But you know, when Elon wasn't saying much and just pumping millions of dollars into Trump's campaign, they weren't saying nothing. But when it comes to how he handled his own businesses, just listen to his employees that worked at Tesla, that built these cars, you know, union busting and then bragging about it on a call with Trump. Do we really want an individual who's supposed to be caring about the American people if he didn't care about his own workers? I think that's pretty obvious. Look at when he bought Twitter, when he walked in, you know, carrying a sink, you know, symbolizing like, you know, he's going to throw everybody out in the kitchen sink, which I think that was his running joke. But just to go in there and be dictator and just fire everyone who doesn't 100% align with you, how do you think he's going to handle when he gets into this creative position just for him in government? When you lack the empathy, how do you think you're going to govern or be responsible for millions of people who may not like you, who may not perfectly align with your ideologies or your plans or your perspective? Like, you're just going to treat them like trash because they're not fans of you? That's pretty problematic. But here we are.
You know what was funny? On Thanksgiving, this was going around on social media. People are pointing out that Elon Musk has at least 12 children, but he spent Thanksgiving with Donald Trump.
Sure. People talk about how the wealthiest people on the face of the earth backed this guy. The wealthiest people on the face of the earth.
That's true, yeah.
How did you think she would win?
Well, you actually talked about Elon Musk. You said he is the chief at dispensing misinformation.
Sure.
You said when you're really, really rich, what do you buy? Media. And why do you buy it? Because you want to control the narrative. You want to be so rich that you tell people what to think. Instead of X's, it should be 3 Ks.
I agree with whoever said that is a fucking cipher. and nothing that I've seen disproves it.
Hey, beautiful. Why did Elon Musk buy Twitter? It is pretty simple. Don't give me this whole BS. He wanted to facilitate freedom of speech and make sure this is a breeding ground of great ideas and great conversations. If you bought that, hey, guess what? I got a bridge to sell you. Okay, I got a couple of them actually. All right, and it's a bang for your buck if you believe that. Once again, just look at Twitter now. Oh, Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. Oh, before it was just complete, liberals and progressives. Just, it was too woke. That was the excuse. Now that all the, the wokeness done left X, now what is it? They're complaining. Oh yeah, it's pretty racist. Just comments everywhere. It's bots and it's nothing but Elon forcing his timeline upon you. Well, what do you think was going to happen? Such a self-centered individual like Musk. Do you think he's really going to give you room to be you? Oh no, the freedom of speech thing, right? How many journalists or individuals that he didn't like that he censored or did something to their profile in terms of like shadow banning? Hey, it is proven. This is not conspiracies, I'm saying. This has been proven. I'm not on S because I don't got time for that. But this is what's already been proven since he's taken over. I know, kind of crazy, right? Like, what do you expect from the richest person on earth? I don't know.
Well, and then shortly after the election, you shut down your Twitter.
Yes.
Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay.
Why would I? What? Listen, I lost what my perspective lost. That don't mean I checked out. I'm not gonna help you. I'm not gonna help you. I'm gonna fight because I believe in it. I believe in a country that will look different, and we'll see. But I'm not gonna help. I am so opposed to that man. I'm so opposed to that idea and perspective. I'm not going to do anything I think benefits him. Nothing.
Well, the other pick who I interviewed as well is Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
Who is now the
He's the
HHS
fucking
secretary.
This is the thing that's funny to me. You mad at this nation is hilarious to me. You mad at a crackhead who got pardoned, but your health secretary does heroin.
He said it helped him in college.
I don't give a fuck what it is.
And that's, to me, I still cannot figure out. They will say anything and everything about criminals ramping through America and just doing all these crazy things, illegal immigrants causing all these crimes, right? Yes. If the data supports it, then yeah, we need to have a conversation. We need to fix that. I got you. I don't want to do it based off your feelings, but if the numbers prove that it's a situation, then yes, let's have a conversation. But you cannot be screaming from the mountains on your pedestal talking about crime is a problem here in America while you are supporting now a literal convicted felon. You will lose all credibility from me. I don't want to hear about what you got to say. And it could be actual conversations or something that is interesting coming out of your face. But if you are supporting wholeheartedly a convicted felon that is now our president, you lose all credibility when it comes to talking to me. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like you are talking about somebody else being completely dirty while you haven't looked in the mirror type of situation here. You know, worry about your own house. Fix that before you start preaching to anybody about rampant crime coming from any groups of individuals. Just a little weird, but hey.
He advocated for heroin. Elon Musk microdoses.
Right. He's also anti-vax.
I hope they get what they want. I want for you what you want for you. I don't want to see this country burn, but I hope that you actually get what it is you wanted. They're saying that they're going to do everything they promised, and we'll see.
Well, look, along with you, Gabriel Union, she shut down her Twitter. Don Lemon, Stephen King, Barbara Streisand, Jamie Lee Curtis, a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Me personally, I feel like X or Twitter or whatever is definitely degraded after Elon took over.
What is better after he took over?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So here's the thing. What has been better after he took over? What has been better after Trump took over? They've decided that this is what they want. I mean, you got a man offering people in Pennsylvania $1 million in some kind of iteration. It was formidable at best, no matter what happened. But just because I took a L don't mean I'm out to fight. I'll never do that. I'll never just quit. So I'm a liberal. I shouldn't say I'm a liberal. I'm a progressive. Mm-hmm. I believe that the best way forward for us is progressive notions and ideas. The places where we do the best is if you look at how black people live, and I said this before, in Minnesota as opposed to how they live in Mississippi, it is starkly different. Just because people are indifferent and apathetic don't mean I will be, and I will keep fighting to see if this country can start to chart a path forward that I agree with. But this is where we are right now, and we'll see what happens.
Well, hey, I commend D.L. Hughley for having the spine, for having the courage to say, you know what, no, I'm not a liberal. So that means he knows there's some difference. There might be some overlapping understanding or policy, acknowledgments. But for him to say he's progressive, to me, I appreciate that 100 billion%. You know what I'm saying? And, we're not going to get into the differences in this video. I have before, but that right there, I think speaks volumes that I think a lot of people, especially in the comments, don't understand. So, hey, thank you.
Well, you actually called out black Republicans who campaigned for Trump but got no seats after he was elected. Herschel Walker, Candace Owens, Ben Carson, Mark Robinson, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and Daniel Cameron.
Right. This is the funny thing to me. Remember when he was running for election and he said, if you don't vote for me, you need a head examined, but he had Tommy Hearns and Antonio Brown on stage with him, two niggas that need a head examined. It's so funny to me. Not one of those black people that was shot, they were carrying the water for him, got a cabinet position. They didn't get a secretary position. They couldn't even be the secretary of secretaries. And two of those people, damn, a cabinet, they need to come out the closet. Like, I'm just saying, so black people for him are transactional. If he didn't do anything for powerful black people who are in a position of governance and he can actually use them, what do you think he's gonna do for people who are not powerful?
Hey, bars, straight bars. And you would think, okay, now I understand like maybe some certifications or, some of the skills that people like Byron or Tim Scott or Candace Owens, like, okay, I get it, maybe. But as much water as those individuals has been carrying, okay, like they would put the water boy, look, Adam Sandler, the water boy, like they would put him into shame on how much water these individuals has carried for not just Donald Trump, but the Republican Party as a whole. You would think, I hope. Okay, now, of course, I wish they would just go broke and just go crawl under a rock somewhere. But just from how much water they carry, I hope they're getting paid from one of these Republican institutions because they are putting in a lot of work for these racist, white supremacist, bigoted individuals. They are putting in a lot of work. So I hope it's worth it. At least you turning against your own people, hating or at least perceiving to hate yourself at the minimum, okay? I hope the money is worth it.
I mean, listen, Trump is definitely transactional.
Yeah. So
You've
we'll
seen
see
it over and over and over and over.
And for the world, literally, for a white guy in America, nothing is different. Nothing's different. For black people in America and brown people in America and women in America, we'll see what's different. But I'll take this man as his word. He's going to do what he said he's going to do. And it'll be an interesting 4 years.
Now, that is what we're going to talk about next. So to tie that up and to kind of get into the next segment here, because I think what D.L. Hughley was talking about in terms of Elon Musk on Twitter and how he's manipulated Twitter to a sense to deliver propaganda for his own political and financial gain, that ties in to what Zuckerberg and Twitter is doing. And if this is not obvious, I don't know what is. And when it comes to having these conversations, one thing that I love to quote Cornel West when I can, this is straight out of Race Matters. He said, what we need today is not just intelligent discourse, but intellectual integrity and moral honesty. People willing to tell the truth even when it is inconvenient or uncomfortable and to act on that truth with courage and compassion. Once again, it is not up to, which, I mean, to a certain degree, I would hold people like Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and everyone else who owns or controls media platform. It is their responsibility to try to filter what they can. Now, of course, they're not going to be perfect. Not everything is going to be 100%. I would never ask that. But to sit here like not Elon, but Zuckerberg and say, you know what, we're going to ditch what we're doing and do something that is being done on X, from what I've been hearing from a lot of experts, is that is very little or it does nothing when it comes to misinformation. Like, that is a problem. And they have a duty to maintain that integrity on social media platforms, almost like Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys are nerds like that, but when it comes to like Spider-Man and his real strength, he underplays his strength. You know what I'm saying? So when he's fighting all these criminals and stuff, he's not killing them. He's just doing what he needs to do to facilitate them. And it was this comic where Osborn, he somehow, some way, I don't want to bore you with the details, but he took over Spider-Man's body. And when he was out there, trying to play Spider-Man, he understood that Spider-Man was holding back his strength so much that he could be killing these criminals. You know what I'm saying? So like, when it comes to social media platforms, they have so much power that they can end up killing the same thing that they're supposed to be trying to protect. So it's a fine line. You can't do nothing like what Zuckerberg is doing and just let misinformation literally destroy people, kill people. Look at COVID-19. But you can't do so much to where, you are just cracking down on everybody who's trying to get the truth out there. So yes, it's a fine line. But guess what, Mark? You taking the money. So now you got to take that responsibility. But let's go ahead and hear what he has to say.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I was really worried from the beginning about basically becoming this sort of decider of what is true in the world, right? That's like kind of a crazy position to be in for billions of people using your service.
So let's hear that again, because that to me, it feels like he's trying to like avoid responsibility, like, and to explain the black borders. This is for copyright purposes, so just in case there's going to be someone to ask, but let's go ahead and listen and just see how he's trying to dodge responsibility.
About basically becoming this sort of worried from...
Okay.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
I was really worried from the beginning about basically becoming this sort of decider of what is true in the world, right? That's like kind of a crazy position to be in for billions of people using your service. And
so decider of what truth is. No, that's not what we're asking you to do. We're not asking you, hey, you need to know all of everything. And when someone presents something on your platform, you need to decide what is true. No, what you're supposed to do is have the mechanics to prove what is already true. Like 2 + 2. We don't need you to be a mathematician. If someone says 2 + 2 is 5, you need to have the mechanics within your social media platform to say, hey, this post right here that's saying 2 + 2 is 5 is incorrect. Here's a link to the proper math. That right there. We're not asking you to prove if God is real or not. Just provide factual information. If something important like the COVID-19, which you're going to get into, stuff like that. That's what we need you to do, is just present the correct information. We don't need you to get on camera explaining it and this. No, just provide the information. But I guess that's just doing too much, I guess, right?
So we tried to put in place a system that would deal with it. And early on tried to basically make it so that it was really limited. We're like, all right, we're just going to have this system where there's these third-party fact checkers and they can check the worst of the worst stuff, right? So things that are very clear hoaxes, that there's like, it's not like we're not parsing speech about whether something is slightly true or slightly false, like Earth is flat, things like that, right? So that was sort of the original intent. We put in place the system and it just sort of veered from there. I think to some degree, it's because some of the people whose job is to do fact checking, a lot of their industry is focused on political fact checking. So they just kind of veered in that direction. And we kept on.
Okay. So if you understand some of the institutions that he implemented within Facebook to do this fact checking, they mostly do political fact checking. I think one of his I had it in front of me was oh man, let me see. I need to pull this up real quick. I'm sorry. One of them was nope. Oh, that's the wrong. Oh man, I forgot. But one of them was like specifically for politics fact checking. Like what do you expect? But even with that, a lot of the hot button topics, which trust me, I understand, this is what I do for a living, like, is based around politics. So he just makes it seem like it was just kind of steering out of his control. Well, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people converse on social media. Like, I'm sorry, you can't try to fact check what's the best Marvel movies or something, like, or what's better, DC or Marvel. Like, I'm sorry, it's not that easy for you. Like, this is the real world and you're dealing with, well, I would say some adults, but the way some of these individuals talk would have you thinking otherwise. But Zucker, you got to do better. That's not going to work here.
Trying to basically get it to be what we had originally intended, which is just, it's not, the point isn't to like judge people's opinions. It's to provide in this layer to kind of help fact check some of the stuff that seems the most extreme, but it just, it was just never accepted by people broadly. I think people just felt like the fact checkers were too biased. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily even so much in what they ruled, although sometimes I think people would disagree with that. A lot of the time, it was just what types of things they chose to even go and fact check in the first place. So, I kind of think, like, after having gone through that whole exercise, it I don't know, it's something out of 1984, one of these books where it's just like it really is a slippery slope, and it just got to a point where it's just, okay, this is destroying so much trust, especially in the United States, to have this program. And I guess it was probably about a few years that I really started coming to the conclusion that we were going to need to change something about that. COVID was the other big one.
So, but before he kind of gets into another subject here, we need to understand the job and how these fact-checking institutions work. And I don't want to say unfortunately, because it's my duty to do this. But once again, it's like information that a lot of people don't think about, and it's vital to kind of form your opinion on things that you kind of know the origin or at least the purpose of something. Because for him to kind of like make it seem like, man, a lot of people didn't like the whole fact-checking thing. Well, who didn't like it? 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Republicans. Well, in my opinion, I mean, it's kind of statistically proven, but a lot of the individuals that are working with misinformation or manipulating facts are Republicans. Hey, I would say 7 out of 10. 70% of Republicans are operating in misinformation because it's profitable. So when you see these institutions that are built to do fact checking, if they're fact checking more so Republicans, I think that speaks more of Republicans than the fact checkers. But no, a lot of people were getting upset. Well, maybe if they stop lying, maybe that's their fault. But here's a few facts when it comes to these institutions and how they get their information and their main function, okay? They cite their sources clearly, linking directly to government reports, academic studies, credible news outlets, and primary documents. Once again, what is wrong with that? They're not just coming up with information out of their behinds and just like, hey, here's the truth. No, if they're linking the information, what's wrong with that? Readers can verify the evidence themselves, fostering accountability. Fact checkers are trained journalists, not just your blue-haired individuals sitting in their mom's basement telling you that you're wrong. These are actual people who are journalists and know how to source and find this information, or researchers committed to nonpartisan principles. Claims are verified against a wide range of sources, which is important, including scientific data, official records, and input from subject matter experts. Once again, I don't want to hear the opinion or someone spouting facts who have 13 followers on TikTok. I'm sorry. I mean, you might say some interesting things, but I want to hear from the actual scientists, from the actual experts, from the individuals who built their lives collecting data for a living. I want to hear from them and not the randoms. Even with me, don't take what I say as gospel truth. Look it up. And if I'm wrong, let me know. If I'm wrong by like one number, don't be an asshole. But you know what I'm saying. Don't take it from me. Go ahead and read it yourself. They avoid reliance on a single source, minimalizing the risk of bias or incomplete information. Claims from all political sides are evaluated using the same criteria, ensuring equal scrutiny. Once again, it's pretty simple. If one side seems to be a little more heavier on the misinformation than the other side, I'm sorry, it is not the fact checkers' problem. It is the ones spewing the misinformation. Zucker, I don't know. Regular admits audits and external reviews help monitor consistency for complex topics as health, climate, economics. They consult subject matter experts to verify nuanced details. He failed to explain that during this like conversation between him and Joe. Oh, I mean, they were just so biased against one side, and just such a, hey, maybe understand the origin or the function of something, and then maybe you might be able to get a little bit more insight instead of just like, bro, it was just like too much for me, and like they're being so unfair, bro. Like, I just had to get out of there, bro. Get out of here.
Where that was also very tricky because, at the beginning it was, it's like a legitimate public health crisis, in the beginning, and it's even people who are like the most ardent First Amendment, defenders, the Supreme Court has this clear precedent that's like, all right, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. There are times when if there's an emergency, your ability to speak can temporarily be curtailed in order to get an emergency under control. So I
like how he framed that, like, can be curtailed. Like, no, you will face consequences if you do something like that. You're not gonna get like, the finger wagged in your face and a slap on. No, I actually should have looked that up. Like, what is the repercussions of like yelling fire in a crowded room if there's no fire? I mean, no, there's actual consequences for that. And for him to say like, well, at the beginning of COVID, like it was some real, concern, like throughout COVID, it was a concern. What are you talking? But okay, let's continue.
I was sympathetic to that at the beginning of COVID. It seemed like, okay, you have this virus. It seems like it's killing a lot of people.
It seems like.
I don't know. Like, we didn't know at the time how dangerous it was going to be. So at the beginning, it kind of seemed like, okay, we should give a little bit of deference to the government and the health authorities on how we should play this. But when it went from, 2 weeks to flatten the curve to, and like in the beginning, it was like, okay, there aren't enough masks. Masks aren't that important. To then it's like, oh no, you have to wear a mask. And, everything was shifting around. It just became very difficult to kind of follow. And this really hit the most extreme, I'd say, during the Biden administration when they were trying to roll out the vaccine program. And
once again, maybe okay. I'm going to. Hey, I know you're not going to like this, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he forgot. But the vaccines was rolled out, or at least initiated, under Trump. And then into the Biden administration. So like once again, all this misinformation and all this like confusion of does the vaccines work and is it that all happened under Trump's administration. I mean, literally Trump was on stage like, you don't have to take the vaccines. Like they're not going to do nothing. Like he was promoting the misinformation that you were trying to combat on your social media. So like, can we, I mean, I know it was like 5 years ago. Okay. Like I understand like it might be a little hazy, but let's make sure we have our information correct.
And now I'm generally like pretty pro rolling out vaccines. I think on balance, the vaccines are more positive than negative, but I think that while they're trying to push that program, they also tried to censor anyone who was basically arguing against it. And they pushed us super hard to take down things that were honestly were true, right? I mean, they basically pushed us and said, anything that says that vaccines might have side effects, you basically need to take down. And I was just like...
And hey, I'm sorry to nitpick, but when you're saying a bunch of BS, or it kind of feels, smells, kind of hears like BS, I need to interject. Hey, pause button right there. I want to see some proof. I want to see, hey, the Biden administration didn't want you to even hint that there were side effects. And I looked this up a few weeks ago because Destiny, he did a whole conversation about that. So I looked it up and there were some side effects, and I should have had a list, but like, it was like minor, like, swelling, itchiness, rashes, things like that. And then of course, like you have your, side effects that less than 1% of individuals experience. Like it's okay to let people know that. And if the Biden administration did something like that, saying, hey, you can't tell people that it's true when it comes to the side effects, then you need to tell people. Like, don't sit here years later say, oh, they like, no, you have a job to inform users of truth. And I know the Biden administration's no, perfect child. If they're hiding some shady stuff too, people need to know. That's simple.
Like, well, we're not going to do that. Like, we're clearly not going to do that. I mean, that is kind of inarguably true.
Who is they? Who's telling you to take down things that
Yeah, it was
that talk
people.
about vaccine side effects?
It was people in the Biden administration. I think it was, I wasn't involved in those conversations directly, but I think it was.
How difficult is that to not be involved in those conversations directly? That's got to be strange too, right? Because you're running the company, but there's clearly you're moderating at scale that's beyond the imagination. The number of human beings you're moderating is fucking insane. Like, what's a Facebook? How many people?
And once now they're gonna kind of get into some weird like numbers with Facebook and how many. I don't really care about that, but when it comes to his answer on when Joe Rogan, like, who's the they? And that's always a good basic question. Like, Joe actually asked a pretty basic but good question. Instead of just saying they, the secret society, the deep state, well, who? And he said, well, the Biden administration. Once again, that's not an answer, because the Biden administration is a lot of people. And then you have the 3-letter institutions that are supposed to be separate from the presidency. You know what I'm saying? Like, the president doesn't run the FBI. They're supposed to be able to run independent from the president. I mean, for conflicts of interest, obviously. So was it the health organization? Like, I want to know specific individuals, if not individuals, institutions. And if it's from the Biden administration, then hey, let's have that conversation. But if not, and you're just trying to pin it on the Biden administration because now you're kissing the ring of Trump, well, I just don't know if I want to believe you. You know, so once again, it is important that we hold these individuals accountable. Yes, I believe in the First Amendment. The First Amendment has a lot of parts of it. A lot of people don't know that. But when it comes to the freedom of speech and expressing yourself in these political news organization critiquing the government, that is important. But you cannot abuse that amendment just to say what you want, and it's proven misinformation, and it could cause harm to people. I don't care what you think about the First Amendment, you need to be shut down. That's simple. I don't know, call me crazy, call me a little insensitive, but when it comes to misinformation, look historically, look through history. That has been the main driver of millions of people dying, innocent people dying. So don't mess around with misinformation. It's nothing to play around with. But of course, thank you for watching. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that Discord button so me and you can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.